Yo, I hope we are all well, good, fit, healthy today. Today is Sunday, and today I wanted to talk about, again, related to mental health and my journey, and just kind of how I managed to weather the storm, I guess would be the phraseology. In terms of where I started and where I am now, I guess. So, for those of you that don't know, that haven't seen my first video on mental health, I was admitted to a psych ward 2 times, back in 2015, 2016 times. I was in an extremely dire situation. My parents had to take me to the hospital because it got to the point where I was completely in my own world. I was not attached to reality. I was completely unhinged. So it was a last resort, but it was something that had to be done at the time. And I went through the process of the hospital. I took a bunch of the medication that they gave me. I jumped through the hoops. And then after my second time there, I'd come out in obviously in a lot more of a stable condition mentally, but I was told at my final meeting that I would still have to be on medication indefinitely. And the thing about these medications is that they basically numb the brain to everything, and in doing that, that is what quiets down this kind of manic state that people in my position normally go through. So in doing so, even though it is fixing the core problem, it still has a lot of knock-on effects. So for me, because I have worked in music for my whole life, the creative side of my mind was obviously still getting affected by this. So it meant that my ability to do my job and create what I love to do, as well as what I was doing for money, was also limited. So for me, I felt like I had to do something more than just what the doctors were telling me to actually, get on with my life. So without going into too much detail on the medical side of things, I did I did have some more like personal agency when it came to really like recovering myself and reintegrating myself back into society. Um, and I have to say it was a very difficult thing to do because it you're at a point where you feel so disconnected when you come out of a place like that. And because you're still on medication and these kind of things, you kind of still feel like you're in a similar position, just in a different location, if that makes sense. So yeah, so like really, like that was kind of the start when I came out. That was really the start of my journey of like really finding my core, like my core values and morals, and how I was planning to like fit myself into the world, because these are also very informative years for me. So these are I would have been like 22, around 22, in age. So these are the early years, still early 20s, where you're still trying to find yourself as a person. So for this to be thrown into the mix as well was just an added pressure. So I only feel like now, at the age of 28, that I'm actually starting to really find my true self. So, you know, it's been what, like a 7 6 7 years of like self-discovery and exploration, experimentation, like so many different, for me, because I'm so naturally inclined to want to understand things, why things happen, how to do things, that for me I was just like, okay, cool, like this is clearly the most important thing ahead of me, to understand myself. So yeah, that kind of just set me off to really, really trying to introspectively reflect on why I got to that position, and how to maintain and sustain my health mentally. And then obviously does have a knock-on effect on the physical health as well, which is just as important. So I do remember that one of the first things that really sort of instilled my self-confidence back within myself was actually one of my friends, well, not really a friend, but he was an artist that I knew through another artist, and he was like relatively big at the time, like in the UK scene, underground scene. And he took a chance on me by wanting to do a session. Agreed to do the session, came, pulled up, and the first session was, and this was like the first session I'd had since coming out. I was super, super self-conscious, and I didn't really know how to play it. I didn't really know who I truly was. I didn't know musically what I was doing. I still had the medication in the mix, so it was like, it was all quite messy at the start at this point. So this session was quite important to me, and it went really well. And I remember at the end of the session, he just said, like, bro, like, you're actually like mad talented. Like, could you be like my personal like engineer and just like basically touch up all my vocals, like in different sessions and different scenarios? And I was like, yo, like, okay, cool. This is actually lit. Like, you know, it kind of like, sometimes we do need this reaffirmation from other people in a way, because everything is, if we actually deep it, everything is relative to everything else. So as much as we do like to say that, okay, like you shouldn't do things for other people, X, Y, Z, there's always, your singular action as a singular person will always have a reaction from someone else. And that is how the world operates and works. So it is something that we have to stay conscious of. Um, but yeah, so he talked very highly of me, and that really helped me inside, gave me that self-confidence to then just like, you know, keep the train moving. And I'll always be very thankful for him. I haven't actually seen him in quite a long time, and prior to going to the hospital and prior to meeting him, I did work with another artist, a few artists here and there, but I never really felt like I was given my flowers when it came to the work, the time, the effort, and the dedication I was putting in. And sorry, I've actually got like an ulcer like in my mouth, and it's actually annoying me. But so I never really felt like I was truly, truly respected in that regard from a young age. And then when this other artist came along, who I really respected, and I thought he was talented, when he then was reinforced, he stated that he basically just made it apparent to me how skilled I was, and that hadn't really been said to me in that way before. So that kind of was the springboard for me to really like kind of get my head into gear when it came to that kind of reintegration into my into my work and into the way I thought about myself. And yeah, from there I kept at it, kept at it, sessions, and through working in music, it's quite interesting because it is very people orientated as much as it is just about music. So having a session sometimes for hours, you might just be talking about things. You might be unpicking certain topics that is being talked about in a song with the artist that he's writing. It might be just like kind of getting to know the artist just on a friendly basis. So I felt like over the years, after doing so many sessions, that I really started to understand the way that people operated, especially in the creative spheres as well. So yeah, I feel like I was constantly learning about the human psyche and about the way people worked internally and externally. And that was all just helping me kind of like figure out where I fit into the picture. Um, and yeah, I've got to a place now where I feel like my love for music is still so burning inside. I still love music so much, but I also do think that it's very easy to burn yourself out when it comes to making music and other creative industries as well. So that's why for me the health mental and physical well-being, I feel like is just as important to me as the music, because both of them are so interlinked. And music, the process of making music can also uplift one, can uplift you, as well as listening to music. It all does interlink. um so now I'm really interested in the way that the way in which these things are presented to people in general, but especially to younger people, because they will be the future of the world. And I do really feel like there is a big disconnect between the the methods in which things around health and well-being are being portrayed, which I have touched on before, but again, I just feel like it's so important anyway to even repeat. But yeah, like I feel like a lot of younger people, for instance, my little cousin, he's in his teens now, in his what, come like 16, around 16, 17, and he's like, I know he's got the ambition inside him, but and he's really sharp with a lot of online social media related things that are ever more relevant and important. But it's always like an agency which is always just not quite fully lit within a lot of these younger people, in the sense that they like have a lot of the ideas and the creative sparks and the passion sometimes as well, and then but then it's like when it comes to actually doing the physical tasks or doing the things, the boring things, to achieve the more exciting things, it's just like, I'm bored now. I just want to like scroll on TikTok or whatever. Like it's just there's the really important crunch moments are the things that make things happen. And I feel like that is what a lot of younger people now are almost afraid of doing. And I feel like a lot of it is rooted in the self-confidence thing. I feel like a lot of it is rooted maybe in a judgment thing as well, the whole council culture and the whole like having to tiptoe around certain issues and certain topics, that is kind of like people are quite apprehensive to publicly do things, I guess. And yeah, like I feel like I'm quite a good person to connect with people. I feel like I value empathy very highly. And I feel like I could help in a small way just to improve the fabric of the way the like the infrastructure of how these things are actually presented. And because it's almost as important as what is presented is how it's presented. And it's just and people, I feel like people don't put enough importance on that, um, because it's not seen as cool to be healthy in the mind and the body. Really, if we actually think about it, it's not really seen as that cool. But there's no reason why it shouldn't be, because it actually just it elevates everything. And like, what's not cool about that? So yeah, that's kind of, I know I touched on quite a few things here, but I thought it all kind of like made sense as one. And again, yeah, thank you for your time, and have a great day. Also, guys, another quick thing before you go. I've just set up my own website called hijack.world, h1jack.world. At the moment, it's just a beat store, so I'm selling some of my music and some loops. But I'm working on the back end to expand the site into something that's a bit more holistic and a bit more all-encompassing. Um, so if you're interested, check that out. If you're not, you don't have to check that out. And also, if you could subscribe down below to this channel here as well on the YouTube, that would be great. Apart from that, peace.